Well, this is interesting. So this is the latest version of BeamNG.drive, and we are right now on the main menu. But the latest update broke compatibility between my recording software and the game in the main menus only, which means from now on, when I start a video, I have to actually start off in the maps instead of in the main menu, which is kind of weird because I've always started in the main menu for the longest time, and now we're going to start in maps, which is strange. So right now, what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to close my recording software, close the game, start the game, load a map, open my recording software, and then we'll be fine. So I'm going to be right back as I fix everything up, and then we'll go over what this update actually added. Once I'm actually in the game, I have no problem accessing any of the menus over here, though I can change the map, change the car, mod the car, change the environment. All those still work with no issue. It's only if you use the same recording software I use and you try to use the main menu that it doesn't work. If you have no recording software on your computer, the main menus work no problem. And the reason for that is an update to the main menus. Before, it actually had a video playing in the background. You know that little thing that looked like it was loading a bunch of levels? No, that was just a video, which explains why it always looked a little bit blurry to me. It's just the way it was encoded. Now that has been replaced with a slideshow, which actually looks a lot sharper. And I think that might have been one of the reasons that the game seems to launch faster now. So if you click Launch BeamNG.drive, you get in the game even faster, which is a real nice bonus. And then in that main menu, it also has a changelog, which, again, I can't show you, which is really unfortunate, but it's not hard for you to look at that and see it yourself if you own the game. All you have to do is click Launch BeamNG.drive. 2 seconds later, it'll be like, oh, that's what WhyBeAre was talking about. So anyways, let's go ahead and actually talk about what's happening on the screen. So right now, we're driving around Jungle Rock Island, which is the map that has been in BeamNG.drive for a little bit of time in beta. Now it's actually been released, so it's basically a map I'll use more frequently in videos now because I didn't want to use it too often while I was in the beta form. Now that it's released, though, it's all open game to use it. And as far as I can tell, there's no more kind of abrupt dead ends, and I tested that by just driving around for 20 minutes, so I might have missed an abrupt dead end or two, I don't know, but as far as I can tell, everything seems to loop into itself a lot more cleanly than before, and there's no abrupt dead ends and stuff, so that's nice. And that's not to say this map is never going to be touched again, because in this update there were some changes to East Coast USA and grid map as well. Very minor things, but there are changes to the old maps and updates pretty frequently. For the East Coast USA changes, there's nothing really I can show you. It was some LOD improvements, which means things are less likely to pop in, and you'll probably get a frame rate increase, so that's nice. I'm assuming, at least. That is what the changes were. As for grid map, it's just a small thing as well. They added an ice area, which I'll actually take a look at. But right now, I'm just going to do some more driving around here so you can just see this map some, because I never really did anything for this map, and I'm not sure if I'll do an actual video for this map or if I'll just kind of conclude it with, like, you know, I did this map in this video, so you get a pretty good idea of what it's like. I think that is probably the way I'll do things. Anyways, some technical things that you won't actually see. The game now runs on DirectX 11 instead of DirectX 9, which is great as far as I'm concerned because DirectX 9 was kind of dated. Unfortunately, if you're playing BeamNG.drive on Windows XP, which is kind of very unlikely because you need like a beast of a computer to run this, and if you have a beast of a computer on Windows XP, that's kind of strange. But yeah, that's no longer going to happen unless you use some sort of workaround to get DirectX 11 on Windows XP if such a thing exists. Otherwise, yeah. And then some calculations have been improved as well, so it's a little bit more well optimized, so your frame rate will be a little bit better hopefully, which is nice. And those are things you can't really see, but you'll probably notice without seeing it. Kind of a weird way of saying it, but it's like for me to say, look, my frame rate's 58, normally it'd be 55 here or whatever, is not exactly a legitimate thing because I don't have a frame rate counter on the video or anything. Next thing is force feedback is now back in the game for Fanatec and T500 RS wheels. So not all the wheels, just a few. I have not tried it yet, unfortunately. But if you had a wheel and you like to play around with games with the force feedback, now would be a good time to see how that works. If you have a G27 wheel, it now has the little light up thing, which works better. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably don't have that wheel, so it's irrelevant to you anyways. And I think we've done enough driving around on this map for now. So let's just go ahead and pop into grid map so I can show you that other thing I was talking about before I forget. And then I'll talk about some of the other changes as well. So let's see, where is the grid map? Let's go. So the change to grid map is a very minor one, and it's just around the corner actually. Over there where you have the strips of mud, sand, dirt, grass, water, all that stuff, there is now a strip of ice that you can play around on. So if we just go over here, and now we can be like, look how good I am at drifting and all that, right? Like drift, 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 and then no drift. And yeah, there's ice there. That's cool though. One thing though, for some reason it says ice on it, and I don't know exactly why there's that issue. I'm assuming it's some texture issue, because I've had a couple of texture things with this latest update, and I cleared out my setting, cleared the cache, all that, and it didn't seem to fix it, unfortunately, which is kind of annoying, but oh well. But yeah, there's ice. It's fun to slide around on. Then it ends, and then you're sad because you can't slide anymore. And then another thing is the water densities were modified from the defaults, which I don't know if it affects every map or not, because the one on grid map seems to be about the same, but I think it's like if a map used the default settings and the water seemed awkward, that should fix it, is what I think it's saying. So yeah. As for the cars, most of them have had some improvements in the strength of the glass so it breaks more realistically. They've had some flex body binding improvements, and if you don't know what that means, don't worry. If you do know what that means, congratulations, you know more about the game than I do, because I don't know what that means for sure. I can guess, and I think I know, but I'm not going to say it and be entirely wrong. And then, about half of the cars have some improved ABS systems as well. There's also a change to the color selector, which affects every vehicle, and it makes it a little bit easier to get that bright pink car you know you always wanted. And then as for changes specifically for the 200BX, there are some new spoilers we could take a look at. One is called the X-type spoiler. You can see right there. Got some good downforce from that thing probably. And then there's also the small lip, which looks like that. And it has the visible bolts, which I don't know if I'm a fan of that type of design. It's just a kind of look some people go for. I don't know if I like it too much. It looks like this is definitely aftermarket-y. And if it didn't have that, it could look stock almost, you know? I don't know. It's all choices from people. But yeah, that's the new spoiler. It also has some improvements to the tie rod stiffness. And now the LSD actually is a limited slip differential. Before it was a locked differential and I didn't even notice it. And this one is one of the ones that has improved ABS. So if we wanted to, we could just do something where we go up to like 80 miles per hour and slam on the brakes. And you can see how the ABS kind of works the wheels. So you can see it wasn't like it was ABS. What do you expect from it? You can look at the skid marks, but they're actually surprisingly consistent, except for the end where it kind of lightens up. I was expecting it to be more like jerky, but it was pretty smooth ABS system on this car. And I think that pretty much covers everything I can think of that was for the 200BX. So let's go ahead and move on to the next car, which will be the D series. And the first thing I want to look at is this, the flatbed custom. And you might notice the vehicles actually load faster than they did previously, and that's just an improvement on the game's part, not me upgrading my hardware. And well, here's the flatbed one, and you can see it has a flatbed as well as a wheel in the back, which you can totally put on and change. It'd be cool if you could, but no, you can't really. The gas tank has also been moved to right here because, well, do you see a gas tank back here? It's gone. It's been moved. We also have some lights up here on the top, which are kind of cool. And that's pretty much all the visible changes there. I'm going to go ahead and pop over to a roamer because that one has some other visible changes. And I think the off-road one has it. Yep. So you can see we have a extra spare tire up there. We have a roof bag. And we have the lights once again. But it has like a full roof rack system, which is pretty cool. And actually, one thing that's fun to do is you could have 2 spare tires and you can equip neither one of them. Ha ha ha! The trailer for both of these vehicles has been improved. The suspension, wheels, and collision, all that has been improved. You can't really, there's nothing really to show off in specific about it, but it is better than it was before. We can test the suspension, which will probably be terrible because I'm pretty sure that thing has like leaf springs on it. And yeah, that thing bounced all over the place. Come on, hold on, trailer. Well, it didn't flip over, so that's something, and it stayed attached. But yeah, trailers have pretty rudimentary suspension systems. And this is full on the brakes right here. And that thing is slowing down real slow. I think this one did have changes to the ABS, but I don't know if that's a positive change. That seemed to slow down really badly. Because that trailer we have isn't that heavy. Like 50. And then I'm slamming on the brakes. And I'm slamming on the brakes. And I'm slamming on the brakes. I don't know about this one. Oh, I gotta steer. I'm gonna crash into a wall. I think I slowed down more just from steering. I don't know. It just doesn't seem quite right. I don't know. Anyways, looking at the trailer suspension, yeah, those are... I'm pretty certain those are leaf springs. I kind of get them mixed up every now and then, but I can take a quick peek and look. Yep, leaf springs. So, yeah, very simple suspension setup so it's kind of expected for it to bounce like that. I think that's pretty much all the changes for the Roamer and D-Series. So let's go ahead and move on to the next car. And I'm going to try to do them in order. Grand Marshal just has some general strengthening to the chassis, nothing to show. All that really means is that it's stronger in a crash when you do crash it. As for the Covet, it had some rally parts added to it, and I honestly don't know what parts those were, because as far as I can tell, I recognize all the rally parts, and I'm assuming one of them I shouldn't recognize, and I'm just making up its existence previously to this point, so I don't know exactly what was that one. Moonhawk didn't really have anything aside from the general improvements I mentioned earlier. Pigeon had a small suspension modification to the damping to make it a little bit more manageable. Sunburst has something really cool actually I want to show you, so let's go ahead and just load one up. The RS one, I don't want the race one, just the normal sport one. So now this one has electronic stability control. You enable it and disable it by holding control and hitting Q. So you can put it in sport mode, off, and regular. And I noticed it actually pretty easily. When I'm using the keyboard, I definitely prefer having the stability control. It makes it drive a lot easier using the keyboard. With the controller, I kind of feel like it could go either way. With the controller, I feel like I have enough control where it's not exactly necessary. But with the keyboard, it feels like the stability control helps a lot to be able to go through corners without spinning out. And yeah, it's cool. I mean, none of the other cars have this because it wouldn't make sense to have it on them because they're usually like 20 plus years old and, well, they didn't really have electronic stability control when those cars were made. So it only is on this car, but it is cool and you can definitely feel it. And I would say, honestly, if you're going to drive this car with the keyboard, you'd want it on. So let's go ahead and try to crash this coolly. There we go. Wheel popped off. Let's see. Aside from that, I don't really recall too many other things to the Sunburst. Aside from, I think there was some chassis stiffening, or maybe it was like door jamb stiffening or door hinges, headlights and tie rods, I believe. It was something like that. I don't know if chassis was. Definitely the other three, though. The door hinges, headlights, and tie rods. I hope. Close enough, probably. Alright, what else is there? Let's see, we got the Bolide, which had some chassis stiffening. Again, not something you can really show off, but it is a little bit stronger in a crash. Next stock vehicle is the T-Series, which has something cool. I was thinking there for a second. Does it have anything? Yes, it does. It has a cement mixer. There we go, and this is one of the texture issues I mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, it doesn't have textures, but it does have a cement mixer. You can visually see at least the shape of it, and when you drive this around, boy, is it easy to tip over now. Like if I just go full left or full right, whoops, you can tip the cement mixer just like that. And the mixer actually does roll, as you can see, which is pretty cool. But you can't actually see it, which kind of sucks. And I believe there were some improvements to the way this one crashes in the front as well. And a couple of other improvements I'm probably missing. It's hard to remember every improvement for every vehicle. Like, that's just one of those things where it's like, I try to memorize them, but it's hard. And that's what the cement mixer would look like if the textures were working. Which they're not. But you can see what it would look like, what would get colored and all that. Next up will be the last one, which is the van. There really wasn't much for the van, though. I think it was the rear view mirror works better in a crash, and the front suspension has been improved. That's it. The T-Series, I kind of remembered something, though. It was the front suspension was improved. I don't know if it was the front crashing, too, but the front suspension was definitely improved to be more realistic. And it was optimized overall, because I seemed to be getting a higher frame rate using the one with the cement mixer than I would get using the one without anything on the back with the 3 sets of wheels. So that's a nice improvement. And I believe it didn't have these 2 camera angles before. This one where you're at the edge of the wheel and this one on the hood. I don't think those existed before. And it also fixed like a stability problem that would happen if you drove it for a long time. I think that covers everything about the cars. And, you know, like I said, it's hard to try to remember all this into your mind. So if you want a full list of changes, definitely go check out the changelog. But I'm pretty sure I covered all of the more major things at least. So let's go ahead and head somewhere else to look at some of the changes. Let's go ahead and head to a scenario because there are 4 new scenarios to do. One of them is, well, let's just find one. Hidden jump. Overview. You must complete a difficult jump up the side of a cliff. Tips and hints. You will need to be careful when taking the first corner. The ramp to the jump is hidden in the vegetation. You will also need to take a very straight line over the jump to avoid hitting the trees. Turn immediately when passing the protruding barrier on the right. As soon as you enter the jump, try to stabilize the vehicle and line up the jump properly. Good luck, and you have a little picture. How cute. Alright, let's go. I read that is a little too fast for my own good, actually, right there. I will admit that, so I apologize for that. And I have done this before, but I kind of forgot where the jump is, so I'm going to kind of go slow on this first run, figure out what I need to do, and then nail it on the second one. Alright, so it's right here. So I went slow, so I don't expect to make this jump, but, you know, maybe? Roll over the finish. Just keep rolling, sliding, roll, something. Aha! I'm upright, in your face. Yeah, well, I didn't expect to complete it there, but I did, in the most terrible way possible. I'll take it. And it was 28 seconds. Alright, so on to the next scenario, which was, I think it was like a moose test. Yeah. Overview. A classic moose test made to showcase a vehicle stability. You have to drive at least 85 kilometers per hour to succeed in this test. Please note you're not allowed to use your brakes until you have reached the last checkpoint. Tips and hints. Immediately after reaching the first checkpoint, steer to the right quickly, but make sure to use minimal steering action so you don't end up in the barrier on the right side. Good luck. And this is a lot harder than you would expect. For one, I use miles per hour, so I don't know how fast I exactly need to go, so I just go flat out the whole time. And 2, it's kind of a tight corner. And if you fail like that, it says you did too slow. So I'll say, okay, I'm sorry. I'll try it again. And hopefully this time I will not suck terribly. I know what it is. I need Sport ECS. That's the problem. I don't have Sport ECS. Oh, I let up on the gas. I don't know if I could have done that because I don't know the conversion for speed. I was an idiot. Oh, okay. I guess you can let up on the gas then. I thought you had to do it full throttle to reach the 85 kilometers per hour. I guess not. All right. Well, that's unexpected. On to the next scenario, and I'm not even in the scenarios. What am I doing? Hitting the wrong buttons without thinking. Next scenario is shortcut. Overview, a quick point-to-point and return. Tips and hints. When you reach the hay bales at the tunnel opening, return to the start position to finish. Good luck. Okay, let's go. It says this one doesn't have a time limit. I can actually take my time and not mess up on the first one. Ideally. I mean, I could always mess up, you know, but I have no excuse to do so. Although this thing is kind of a pain right here. It's all bumpy. Like, you have to... I don't know how to even really do this without probably tearing off my front bumper. This thing is like truck status right here, and I'm going to go with my sedan. Oh my goodness, I'm going to get stuck. Back out of there. That thing was going to get stuck. Okay, we're going to just tear off the bumper then. Go! Oh, the bumper stayed on. All right. Do we have enough momentum to make it up this hill? Yes! I'm really surprised the bumper stayed on there. Thought for sure I was gonna rip it off. Alright, around the hay bale. Gotta hit the hay bale so it knows who's boss. And then careful down this thing. I don't want to bottom out my car at that end right there. Just a little bit of power. Oh, bottomed it out. See, I didn't want to get stuck either. Bottoming out is better than being stuck, that's for sure. I don't like you. Oh. And then we are done. And my time is 1:17:27. Nice ending. So there's one more scenario to do, and this is a really, really long scenario. It's the longest scenario there is as far as I know. It's called Heavy Machinery Delivery. Overview. Deliver the cement mixer to the local port without scratching it. Some fallen trees are blocking the road, so you will have to use an alternative path. Tips and hints. Don't rush. Slow and steady wins. Good luck. Full throttle! You can't tell me not to rush. I'll still rush. Well, actually I won't, because really, if I make a mistake 5 minutes into this or whatever, I will be very disappointed. We have to do this in one shot. And again, we have the cement mixer, which is missing textures. So let's use this camera so we don't see the ugly missing textures. Also, it's a little bit easier to drive with this camera. And right now, I am going full throttle. By the way, like if you didn't think I was, like if I meant, oh, I'm going to go this slow the whole time. No, I don't mean that slow. It's just this is uphill. And this is slow. And it's heavy. And it can't do uphills good. Thankfully, it does have enough power to make it up the hill, though. That'd be hilarious. Going up the hill! Going down the hill! Couldn't make it. Well, that was weird. The hood just disappeared. Huh. I wonder if it'll happen again or not. I wonder if the hood, the hood camera I thought was new at this version. Maybe that's why it was new, is because they were having issues with it like that or something. I don't know. Well, it hasn't happened again, so I don't know. It was weird. Anyways, we're 10% of the way-ish. Like, if we get halfway between the next two check marks, we're 10%. And yes, this is still flat out the whole way. Oh, it just glitched out again. Okay, now I'm letting up just a bit on this corner. Because it's downhill. I'm actually totally off the throttle. Just coasting it. Keeping it slow. Because I'm pretty sure with this one, you can get on two wheels and not flip, but absolutely ruin the suspension. So when you try to drive, it's miserable because you're always pulling to the left or right. So I don't want to end up on two wheels, period. Really is the goal. But if you really wanted to, you could whip around all these corners just rolling up on two. Well, I guess it's not two wheels, is it? Because you got dualies in the back and you have two sets of wheels in the back. But you know what I mean, where you're up on the, like your car is going to roll over, it looks like. And what would generally be considered up on two wheels with a normal vehicle. Also, here's another good tour of Dry Rock Island. Got a nice good look at it. Rope, a little bit up, but it was okay. Looks like we're still tracking straight. But just something like that can break the suspension, and I'm speaking from experience. Because I did that before. I got up on two wheels and I went, it wasn't even that hard. It was just a little bit of air and it didn't feel like it would have damaged it, and it didn't. Where'd my hood go? And trying to drive after that was a pain. And then I eventually just said forget it, and I restarted because I damaged the rear suspension so the rear tires could not spin somehow. And that sucked. I just heard a bang. You better not be braking back there. Stinking suspension. Stop making noises. I think it's tracking to, like, it's not going straight anymore. It's going to the right slightly. Those little bangs you heard when I was driving what seemed like perfectly fine, it made the car now drive to the right some, all on its own. And it didn't even look like I did anything that vicious or anything like that, but apparently it was enough to get some damage to the suspension. So now driving the rest of the way is going to be an absolute pain because the car wants to go right. Like, I'm not going right at all. And, well, okay, I went a little bit. Right here, I'm not steering at all. And you can clearly see it is going to the right because this corner should be in the dirt by now. Like right here, going straight, hitting left, hitting left, and then letting it go straight, and then I have to hit left so it doesn't, yeah. Well, that sucks. I feel like I don't deserve that. Like, all my wheels were planted on the ground as I did that corner. I don't deserve damage for that. I'm not going to make this corner. Oh, I heard another bang. Suspension, stop braking. If the suspension gets too bad, I'm just going to call it quits out of anger, probably. Because we're already 4 minutes in. I don't want to do all of that over again. Very slow through the dirt roads because they're so bumpy. Don't break any more suspension. I swear, you better not do anything. But just drive perfectly from now on. If I hear any more bangs, I'm going to be so mad at you. And I'm not exactly sure what part actually breaks, because the damage is so minor. Well, I guess if I really wanted to, I could look at the J-beam structure and determine it like that, but it's not like you could see a wheel hanging off to the side or anything for something like this, because it's still drivable. It's just a pain. And so 5 minutes in and we're almost halfway. So that means this might take 10 minutes. I don't honestly remember how long it took the first time. And ooh, felt like I was starting to tip. I'd just come to a stop right there and be like, hold on. But like I said, I'm okay with doing this since it's kind of an additional tour of Jungle Rock Island, which is the new map for this version. I heard another bang, and it sounded like it came from the left side because I have earphones on, and it's, you know, it's surround sound or whatever. It definitely sounded like it came from the left, so it's not like I hit the dirt with my suspension or anything like that, because my right side was the one that was right on the dirt. And it seems like we're pulling to the right even more. Like, I'm going straight here, straight, and turning. Just a little bit to try to straighten it out because I was going to crash. That's when I really have to drive slow, though, is when I can't even just, like, coast going straight. That sucks. Okay, so letting go, and that's how badly it goes to the side right there. You can see. Like, the second I let go, it tears over to the right side. I almost want to just crash into something and hope it equalizes out, you know? Just hit a wall, maybe it'll pull to the left equally. Hey, look, right here through this tunnel, I'm not steering at all. I haven't steered at all in this tunnel. Okay, I'm steering to the left because it was steering too much to the right now. And then we have a corner going to the left. I gotta slow way down for this because I gotta steer hard into it. And I don't want to roll. And I have to steer harder because it's pulling to the right. So, like, it's more likely to roll, I would think, than if it wasn't damaged. So we got 12 checkpoints left. And to be honest with you, I never finished this. I started it and never finished it, so I don't know how long it'll take. I thought I finished it, but then I remembered I gave up both times. So yeah. And it's usually just because I'm like, gotta go fast, crash. Oh, my truck stopped working. So going through this section right here, I barely have to steer right at all. It just does it on its own. In fact, I steered a little bit left and a little bit right, and that was it. Alright, going through here. Is that a dirt road? Yep, so we gotta slow it down. See, what was wrong with this road? I don't see no trees in the way. There we go. Gotta stay real slow on this one. Because there's a left in the dirt. Why does it seem like more of the corners are to the left than the right? Or the tight ones, at least. I don't know why the truck keeps disappearing, though. It's just a little glitch, I guess. With the new camera angle. Whoop, a little bit cut that corner. I can't. Screw it, we're going straight. Because I don't think I can maneuver that tight of a corner without rolling over. Alright, so it's going to take about 9 minutes in total. Woo! Let's roll. Oh, I didn't roll it. I'm surprised. Oh well. I think that about covers everything I can think of. Oh, I thought of one thing. Barriers would change or something. I remember reading something about the barriers. Let's look at the barriers just real quickly. So there is the new concrete barrier, and I think it's like a totally new J-beam structure and design right there, so that's just something I wanted to point out. Now, I think I've said pretty much everything that's of major importance in this latest update, and again, it's not everything, just most of the more important things. If you want a full list of changes, go to the BeamNG website and go to their blog, and they list all the changes there. Anyways, until next time, this is WhyBeAre. I'll see ya.